Good afternoon, Siji. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you, Gaurav?
Very good, very good. Thanks for taking out the time for being on our podcast, Joy of Performing. We're extremely delighted to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me over. It's a privilege to be here too. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I'm quite kicked about our episode today because it's very different than what we usually discuss, right? And we've taken the topic from what you have launched, which is leaders in lipstick. So I think it's a phenomenal, interesting topic that we're going to discuss, and very close to what is happening in the world today. Because a lot of leaders are coming in, women are getting more and more for the leadership role, and it's been a change, a sea change in what we look at the leadership world today versus maybe 10, 20 years back. So just interesting to know of how did you get to this name and what's the journey been like.
I started my career in 1997. Okay, 1997 was an era where you find women primarily in organizations till the middle managerial level. Very few of them you would find in the C-suite, right? So while I was moving on, I did my graduation and then I did my MBA in finance. So I was directly reporting to the CEO of a big pharma company. And while I took a sabbatical for my first child, and when I had to just come back, I realized that I had to start all over again. Right? It was that the 4 years of experience that you had prior to the sabbatical, it was of no use because you had to redo the whole things, restart the whole career. And that's how ICICI Bank, then Birla Sun Life, Max New York Life, couple of these companies happened in my life, where I was heading the branches in multiple cities. So, what was the most important thing that time that I realized that many a time you are this single women heading a branch amongst an array of loads and loads of male branch heads. Of course, those was a different time, and it was a rare sight to have more women out there. What I would also see is the sales managers who would report to me would also be men. The only difference that I would bring in is to start taking in more women. So that was somewhere in 2007, 2010. Right from then to now, of course, there has been a sea change. But even today, when I go to organizations and connect with the women, I find that there is still scope for a lot of things. So if I have to even talk about statistics, it's like 25% representation of women in the mid level, but they're just 4% at the top level. There's a dip of 21%, and you really think, where have all the women gone? Why is there another 21% of dip? Where do we have more role models who are senior managers or at the C-suite? So all of those things were something that took me to this part of wanting to be there, do a lot more, have a more inclusive kind of a work culture. It could be breaking the glass ceiling or breaking the glass cliff. You could name it and say there are multiple things that go into that space. Yeah. So my journey, I should say, had been with a lot of sabbaticals because I have two kids, and I actually took. Then there was an absolute career transition because I had to prioritize with having a corporate life to balancing at home. So I had to take the tough call because those point in time there weren't much options or flexibilities that you could balance your work life a little more better. Yeah, so all of those things, then the moment I moved out, I felt this was a course that I should work on. So yeah, that's where it is
No,
coming
that's
from.
great. My wife is a working woman as well, and she is heading a startup. So I know what you're talking about, and I know what the journey is like, and it's the balancing act, right? Because in this part of our world, women are supposed to be the nurture and the caretakers of the house as well. So I think it's a balancing act. So how do you deal with that? And I'm sure you would have come up with many great leaders, women leaders, and how do they deal with that? Is that a difficult balance to strive, or how does that go?
I had a workshop yesterday with some women leaders. You would not believe this, still a very pertinent question. Can women have it all? Yeah. So many a time, you tend to adjust, compromise, stretch, go the extra mile more than the male counterparts, for the only reason because there's something which is called as a balancing act that is supposed to be like a double burden syndrome for any women, right? Because they have to be always, as you rightly said, a caregiver. You need to take care of all the chores, you need to take care of what's coming in the workplace, and many a time you find some of the male counterparts may not be as empathetic or as sensitive, right? So when you're talking about juggling, it takes a lot. So what I find today is that many women support many women. There's a community inside the organization that says, I have your back. Come on, let's do it. So there are some kind of changes that you can see. But when I started, or rather when I was going through my second pregnancy or the first pregnancy during my work, I would find people to be very nonchalant, like they would just not bother. Do you need kind of support, or do you really need some kind of a rest or a relax or something? That's everything was like, okay, you are there, you have to do it, get it done or leave it. So those kinds of things, I feel a lot many things have been flexible. What we do for balancing is like keep always prioritizing what's important for you, right? So prioritizing is important. So caregiving, if you are giving caregiving to your children or caregiving to your parents or to the elders in your house, you have to take a call. If that point in time, if you need to prioritize that, you need to do that. And it's I wouldn't call that's a work life balance, because that's a pass. Today it's called as work life integration. You integrate your work in your life and the life in your work, and ensure that there is something which is more seamless, and it's something that you can deal with it. Of course, we all land up with guilt, but I guess guilt is something that we all have to deal and navigate so that we get better with balancing rather than getting into a guilt trip, as you
Yeah, I
rightly
think
said.
some great nuggets there, right? I love this whole work life integration then work life balance. I think that's very well said. And yeah, sometimes guilt is not a bad thing because it actually teaches you of how to deal with it in the future as well. So it kind of grows you as a person. So I agree, and it's interesting you said that. I always thought that it takes a great supporting women to have a successful career for a man, right? I think it's the other way around as well. It takes an empathetic man for a woman to have a great career as well. So I think yeah, you need to have that both ways, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, our society conditions people very differently, be it a woman or a man, The thought about a man entering the kitchen and helping a woman is still very little, right? A man dealing with small children at home is still very little. You will find some of them doing it, but overall, the larger, bigger picture is that we still lack there. So the societal conditions to a great extent, and plus and over and above, right from the start of your journey as a girl, right? There's so many expectations that set onto you. There are certain things which are told to you that you cannot be doing that. So we come with a lot of those. I'm not enough, good enough. I'm not. I can't do this. That kind of belief system with a lot of women always sticks on. So they kind of have doubts on themselves. So there's a lot of self doubt. There's a lot of self doubt when it comes to performing at the workplace. uh, Even when a simple thing, when most of the time it happens in organizations, is that when they recruit someone for a particular job, okay, a role, they always see, is it more female centric or is it more male centric? So they typically, like in a sales, they would typically want more men, or if it's a more technical one, they will have more men. Many organizations have gone ahead and done something called as a blind resume, which is a very good thing. So you have a blind resume, you do not know what's the gender of the person is on the other side. It's purely on merit. So the moment somebody does something like that, you know for sure it's going a long way in addressing merit rather than the gender. So there's no gender bias, but it's more to connect with the right person for the right way. And I think these things over a period of time, like I have two boys. As a mother, what am I doing to my boys? Am I training them to be more empathetic? Because they're going to be in the workforce very soon, right? And am I being telling them to be empathetic? Am I asking them to include women as well? So there's a lot that I have to make them also understand. So it's a culture that we are looking at to change in totality.
Yeah, yeah. And I think sometimes it takes generations, right? It doesn't happen like a
Absolutely.
switch. So I think, I mean, absolutely, I think the society is moving in the right direction, and we're taking some great steps to make that happen. But, initiatives like these and women like you coming up and taking that initiative forward will only help us to go in the right direction too. So thank you. I just want to thank you for your initiative. Now, you would have interacted with many a women in this journey, right? And
Right.
and I know by your popularity on LinkedIn, I can tell that you would be interacting with a lot of leaders. So, what are the three things in common that you have seen in women who kind of break the glass ceiling and go beyond and achieve the success that they achieve? I know there is no magic pill, but if you can leave those three or five important things that maybe women can take from this, that would be super useful.
Thank you. That's a very nice question. So, the glass ceiling, the glass is invisible, but it still exists, right? So, breaking that glass ceiling in itself is a big thing. Now, one main thing is stereotyping. We ourselves stereotype. Okay, we are good for these roles and we are not good for these roles. So, one of the most important thing to understand, if a woman becomes a first woman pilot, or the woman becomes the first person to be working in a warehouse, or the woman who's the first person to work on the shop floor, or the woman who is able to take night shifts, or who's the woman who's going to be driving a truck. Now everything of this has a first in it, right? There have been women who have broken the stereotype, saying that I don't have a problem driving a truck across the cities of India, which is dangerous by itself, which is quite rigorous in itself, which is quite tough in itself. But we see those kinds of people out there. So first and foremost, having that letting go of that self-doubt or this stereotype that I'm not made for this, I can't do this, those things have to be replaced with a lot of self-confidence. The I can't should be replaced with an I can. And having that bias not having the bias is a very critical thing. I always ask this classic example whenever I start with a workshop, and I would say this, when John went for his interview. Okay, he went for his interview, and his father said, I will drive you up till your interview place office. Okay, so he said, yes father, come along, we will go for the interview. His father drives him to the organization. He goes ahead, has the entire interview, and comes back, sits back with his father, and he was just about to tell his father how did the interview go. Suddenly he finds that there is a call on his mobile, which is the CEO of the organization, and the CEO says, congratulations son, you got the job.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, when I say this, you will find a lot of the confusions on the faces of everyone in the room. They're like, okay, he's sitting with his father who gave the call to say, congratulations, son, you've got the job. Now, the most of the people are in a doubt because nobody realizes that the CEO could be his mother, a lady.
Hmm. Very interesting. Right.
So there's a bias, and I'm talking
Right.
about women. Huh? These are all women folks in
I
the
mean, it's
class.
interesting because your first reaction is what you just said, right? So it's interesting how our brain works and how it's been nurtured for generations now to work in a way that it works. Please
So,
go on.
which means that I don't think a woman can be a CEO. If I don't think a woman as a CEO, where do I see myself in the future? I never see
Hmm.
myself as a goal setting as a CEO, right? So there's a lot of these unconscious biases that keeps working on us every single day. What is important is to challenge the status quo. Say if I can bust one bias for myself, say ask myself, why did I not think about the lady being the CEO, the mother being the CEO? Why was I so perplexed and confused? What just happened just now? Right? So stereotyping, the biases, and believing in yourself, right? That's a very important thing, to believe in yourself. Of course, Many a time I tell the women, we should never play the victim card. There are sometimes we keep giving umpteen reasons of why we didn't make it, or umpteen excuses why didn't we make it. But those are just reasons, right? We
Hmm.
need to believe in ourselves that we can perform and have those results for everyone to see, something that we ourselves don't believe that we can get there. So we do not, it's not there in our personas, right? So a lot many times what we portray is what is perceived by others. If we portray like an unempowered women, people will take advantage of that. But if you are someone a force to reckon with, people will take you that way. So a lot depends on how you brand yourself in the organization too. So I always call it as the ABCD. So talk about how well are you appearing. It's your appearance that matters, your attire, your attitude. B, I say it's the behavior, how you behave in tough, difficult situations. See, I say the way you communicate, the choice of words, your body language, the tone that you have. Are you exhibiting confidence? Are you someone who's sure about yourself? What kinds of goals do you have for yourself personally and professionally? And D, today, which is very critical and important, is your digital footprint. What kind of a footprint do you have digitally? Do you exhibit those kinds of qualities that people look up to you? So I guess these are some of the things wherein you could break the glass ceiling and move on.
Yeah, one of the common things between this ABCD framework that you have, and it's quite interesting actually. Keeping it simple but to the point, is that everything you said is actually within us. It's more internal than external. So a lot of
Absolutely.
times we tend to say the challenges outside, and if it's outside, you don't have any control on that, right? But the moment you think about that majority of it is inside, then you can deal with it, shatter it, and kind of move on. So I like the approach. I think it's quite interesting.
Thank you. I think it's about having a more evolving mindset. Somewhere we get fixed around the space saying, this is how it works. And I have, this is how it works for me. So I have my own reasons why it works like that. So instead of focusing on results, we are looking more for reasons why it's not working for me, or why is it working the way it's working for me, right? So I feel sometimes just a switch, a paradigm switch, and as you rightly said, it's all internal, it's a mindset. So how do we just, use that space to see how can I grow? I always say this, this is some micro nugget. I just always say that is like, you grow through what you go through. So you grow through what you go through. So you have to go through all of those to grow through that and see how it works for you. And are you ready to give yourself those opportunities for experiencing those spaces? Many a time we shield ourselves from taking those opportunities, thinking that there is some kind of risk
No,
there.
absolutely. I think very well said. So Siji, what is your vision for leaders in lipstick, and what are your thoughts? Where do you want to take it?
So, as I said, there's this 4% in the senior level. What are our thoughts is by 2030, we want it to be 20% of representation of women in the senior
That's
levels.
good. Very
Yeah,
measurable
and
goal, right?
yeah, and so for
Yes,
that, there are multiple people who are a part of the community who are driving this big time. What we are looking at is to take it to the next level, having more people included, also creating an awareness amongst the men. It's not only empowering the women, but it's also creating an inclusive space, empathetic space, and awareness space, even with the male counterparts in the workplace. So many a time you empower the women, but you don't have a supporting male counterpart, and the whole thing goes for toss. So then there's a conflict there. So creating that awareness. Many a time the men are not really aware about what the women needs, or how they think through, or how they evolve through. Sometimes getting them even aware, and that brings a more cohesive, more inclusive space for all of us to thrive beautifully. So that's one thing that we are looking at, 2030, 20%. And we feel that's a massive thing, because once we do that, we will have more women in the senior roles who would be inspiring other aspirants. right? So having more inspiring role models is a need of the hour, because we don't see someone out there at the top, we really don't know we can reach there or not, right? Just like saying, I did not think that the CEO is a woman, but I see more women CEOs. Probably I wouldn't think about that story like that. I would be quick enough to say, of course, that's a woman there. That's a women CEO. That's a mother who is a CEO of there. That's what she's doing. That, that's how we are looking. So there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs that we are addressing. There's a lot of conscious efforts to create or upskill everyone, especially the women, in terms of skills which are critical, like negotiation skills. If you look at the salary structures also, the women are always paid lesser. Be it the Bollywood, the women actresses are always lesser than the male actresses, or be it in the corporate. So you always find a disparity in that space. So how to negotiate, how to portray your brand, because many a time women feel, how do I talk about myself? Would it not sound like bragging? I'm talking a lot about myself. But it's important to know, other than your performance, it's important to also have an exposure in the organization, be visible with your efforts, have to have a positive image in the workplace, because if this is not happening, you do not create your brand at the workplace. We call it as the pie, and we call the pie very beautifully. P stands for performance, I stands for image, and E stands for exposure. So many a time when we ask this question, what's the most important one, people will say performance. Yeah. And very rightly, performance is the foundation. But just performance without having a positive image, people don't look up to you. Just the performance without being exposed to the right people, without being visible in your efforts, without people knowing that you exist here, it's of no use. So it's in toto package. So the pie is very important. And if I have to talk about statistics, performance is 10%, image is 30%, exposure is 60% when it comes to making your mark in the corporate space.
Wow, that's quite a numbers, right? I mean, why is exposure 60%, and what do you mean by that? Just wanted to kind of get that a little more
Yeah. So it's like
candidly.
not, so when I talk about exposure, it's not saying that, you don't have to pay attention to your performance. Performance has to be there. It's a given, right?
Sure.
Like, for example, let's say you are someone who is very good with your performance, right? But what if your external projection, people don't know about it? If there is an opportunity that is coming in, would they consider you for that opportunity? The answer is no, right? So you are somebody with a lot of internal growth, but your external projection is very less. You will be considered as someone who's mild, but never considered for new opportunities, because they don't know what you can bring to the table. Get that? Let's say on the other side, you're someone who doesn't have much of internal growth, but you have somebody who exhibits, or there's a lot of external projection. People will think that you're too loud, because your substance is not there, only external projection is there. So when I say exposure, it has to be in sync, right? How much is your internal growth, and your external projection has to be on the higher side. So how many people do you know is one good thing, but how many people know you is another level. How many people know that you're capable of doing certain things? How much have you been proactive in being visible with your efforts in certain aspects? How much have you volunteered in the organizations to know that this lady is capable of these kinds of skill sets, or they bring this kind of value to the table? Only when they know, are you eligible for eligible for opportunities ahead. So those are opportunities which goes by if you're not if you don't have the exposure. So that's the pie. That's a 60% in the E.
Got it. No, thank you. Thank you, Siji. Thanks for your time today. I think our audience would have gotten a lot from this conversation. Any last pointers or words before we let go?
I always believe in one thing, that everybody should aspire to inspire before you expire.
Very well said. Very well
Aspire
said.
to inspire before you expire. And I keep telling this to all the women leaders there. You need to have a legacy. You need to be a role model. Be the right one. So there's someone who's looking up to you. Be the right one, so that many people can be as inspired with the way you conduct yourself.
No, beautiful. Great thought. Great thought. And Saji, if our audience wants to reach out to you, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
We have a LinkedIn community, and I think even through the Joy of Performing platform, we are all connected on that. So reach out on any of those LinkedIn platforms, or you can go through my websites as well, sijivarghese.com. Yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. We really, really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.